So Madeline, we've talked about the pre-campaign meeting and how important it is. Let's role play and work through those particular points that you built into the pre-campaign, because this is all about building the Marshall White way and the team embracing fully and completely the steps in the process that make campaigns even more successful, great reputation in the marketplace and great results for clients.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So Mike, we're looking forward to Saturday. Thanks for taking the time to meet with me this afternoon. We've just got what we call a pre-campaign agenda here that has evolved over the years. So there's a few points that might resonate with you, some that we don't need to spend too much time on. I don't want you to think that I'm going to be here, for an hour or so, because I know you've got a busy afternoon and evening. If you've got anything that you want to discuss while we're going through this, just let me know and we can always add it to the agenda. Is that okay?
Yeah, fantastic.
So we are going live on the internet tomorrow night. Okay, so the girls have got all of the marketing is all in production at the moment. Thank you for being so prompt with your approval of the photos and the copy. They look fantastic, by the way. So everything happens tomorrow in terms of internet loading. All of the other marketing materials are all off in production at the moment. So the board's been approved and gone. The brochures have been approved and they've gone, but we'll go live on the internet tomorrow night. And it should happen around about, Ellie normally loads at about sort of 3 or 4 o'clock. Now don't panic if you don't see your property live on the internet straight away. So what happens is it gets loaded on the Marshall White site and then it ports out to realestate.com, Domain, Real Estate View and the rest of the sites, okay? So it will be on there within a couple of hours, but it'll definitely be on the Marshall White site sort of later on tomorrow afternoon, okay? In terms of the advertising payment, Ellie has just suggested here that that's all sorted, that's all under control. So the first half was taken out last week and the second half, as you know, will be charged to the credit card in the last week of the campaign. There's just a couple of little things on the paperwork that I just need your initials on in terms of compliance. So perhaps we'll just leave that to the end and we'll come back to it and just get you to initial off on a couple of pieces of the paperwork. Thank you for returning the property information sheet. The girls are now, that's gone to production as well. So thanks for doing your homework so promptly and getting it back to Ellie.
Thank you. I like all these positive strokes and little pats on the back.
You're very organised.
Thank you.
We made a couple of little tweaks as well and just added in a few things about, the area in relation to cafes and parks and that sort of thing on your behalf as well. Just things that we felt would be relevant for the buyer profile coming through your home. So they're the extra information sheets that we have out on display at the Open. So not only does every buyer get a brochure, but they can also help themselves to the information sheets that we have on display at your showcase open for inspection. Just confirming the statement of information, which is the new document that gets attached to every single property that is listed now and is on the internet. That will also be attached to the internet. So as per our authority price of 1.5 to 1.6, the statement of information has that price on it and also the 3 most relevant recent relevant sales within 2 kilometres in 6 months, which I think Ellie had your approval on those as well. So I chose those properties to best reflect your home in the marketplace.
Great.
Okay. The introduction of the statement of information now means that we don't necessarily have as many inquiries from buyers though. So in the past we used to use buyer inquiry as a really good measure in the lead up to our first open for inspection in terms of how many people are seeing your home and inquiring and asking us what the pricing expectation is. They now can see that without inquiring. So the inquiry has diminished quite significantly across the board, certainly not just on our properties, across the board, because buyers generally don't need to speak to us. They can just turn up at the Open for inspection. Okay. So our Open for inspection attendance is now our best and first gauge of engagement in the property in the marketplace, and we'll come back to that in a moment when we talk about our expectations for your opens. Editorials. So the editorials, remember we talked about the little freebie ads that we're going to try to get for you. So in the Weekly Review, The Age, The Australian, The Herald Sun. Andrea, who's our PR lady who came and did your copy. Do you remember seeing Andrea, the copy? Yeah. So she's submitted your home for editorial. Unfortunately, there's no guarantees that we're going to get anything, but we've put in a very good word for your home. She was delighted with it in terms of the presentation and the facade. There's a good chance that we'll get something, and we'll keep pushing from that point of view because I know that's important to you, and we'll certainly keep you updated as we get any feedback from Andrew as to what we're going to achieve in terms of editorials.
Great.
One of the things that could increase the chance of getting an editorial is if you were prepared to have your name published in the editorial. Would that be something that you would mind? Some people like that idea, some people don't around privacy.
A bit on the private side, so I would prefer not to.
Prefer not to be in the front of the age with the footballers and the... Okay, that's fine. I'll make sure that that's the case and your name's not mentioned.
Thank you.
So then I would just write down here that name's definitely not to be mentioned on any editorials. In terms of the sales team, we've had what we call our virtual tour this morning in our sales meeting. So that's basically 35 agents from the Armidale office sitting in the sales meeting, looking at all of our new properties that are starting this week. The reason that we do the what we call the virtual tour is, first of all, so that everyone is across Hope Street. So everyone knows that your home is coming up onto the market. The second reason that we do it is to encourage buyer referrals. So we want our colleagues, so Hugh Tomlinson or Anna Perry or Claire Maloney, to basically get out of that meeting and go and sit at the phone and ring 5 buyers each and tell them and refer them to your home. Okay, so that's the second reason. And the girls, as you know, our colleagues are financially rewarded if their buyer buys your home. Okay, so we're not just relying on the marketing. We're the sales team is also 1 in 5 Marsh White sales is as a result of a buyer referral. Mm-hmm. The third reason that we involve the sales team in viewing your home is just to get price feedback. So we get 35 different colleagues giving different price feedback on your home. Mm-hmm. Pleased to say though that everyone was in line with our expectations and your expectations and the advice that we've given you. So, so that's always nice to hear.
Absolutely.
In relation to the board, the sign board will be erected at some point late in the day on Friday. Okay, so don't panic if it's not up by 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night. Sometimes, depending on how many boards they're putting up, they even get put up on a Saturday morning. Okay, so it will be up before the first open for inspection. Okay. There's also a lighting company that comes around and puts a light up. We've requested a solar light for your home, only because you mentioned that the electricity was a bit tricky to access. So that person will put the light up after the board's being put up. Okay. The auction flag mentioned here is just the actual auction day flag that's put up very early on the morning of your auction, but we'll talk about that later on. Now, keys and alarm code. Ellie said that you would have a key ready for me. Have you got that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, fantastic. And will you be alarming the home before open for inspections, and do you want me to put the alarm back on once we've finished?
No, we're
You'll
fine.
Be close by?
Yeah, we won't leave it alarmed.
Okay, so we definitely don't need an alarm code?
Definitely don't need an alarm code.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So now that we've got the key, we will put the key in what we call a key safe, which will probably be attached to maybe your gas meter or your tap. So if you see a little metal box attached to your gas meter or your tap, that's just where our key is. So it doesn't matter whether James gets here first or if I get here first or Anna gets here first, we've all got access to the key. Okay, great. So there's no confusion with who's got the key. Mm-hmm. And that's secure. Okay, that's a locked key safe. Now this is an important one, Michael. Price and handing price with friends and neighbours. Okay, so what we suggest to all of our clients is not to get into sort of deep conversations with friends and family and neighbours about your expectations for the home in terms of price. The reason that we suggest that is sometimes things can be misinterpreted by people, and all of a sudden your expectations out in the marketplace are being sort of touted around and discussed, which may be counterproductive to our campaign. So what we like to do is maintain control over the discussions that we're having with buyers around where the interest is and our estimated selling range. But we have had a situation in the past where a vendor has, openly discussed their expectations at school pickup. All of a sudden, the rest of Malvern knew that their expectations were X or Y, and we started to lose buyers. So the less you say around price, the better. If someone does ask you, just say as much as we can get. If they really push you and they are giving you the sense that they may be interested, or they may have a friend or family member interested, just say, here's Madeline's number, give her a call. and I'll handle their inquiry.
Great.
Okay, just
so it's
really
probably a
important.
good idea for me to have a few of your business cards then.
Yes, absolutely. I'll leave some for you, no problems. Also, another thing that we like to just discuss at this point is your reasons for selling, okay? So we don't like to discuss your business with any buyers or anyone else. So the fact that you've bought another property will never be discussed by us in the marketplace, okay? Some agents do openly tell buyers that their client has bought. We think that's really tacky because it then puts you in a weaker position on auction day in terms of negotiating. So if a buyer says to us, why are they selling? And some buyers will. We often just say that you're looking to move closer to family or not spend too much time on that topic. Is that okay with you if we say that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. Okay. So if anyone asks you as well, you can just go along with the same consistent story, and we'll keep it consistent.
Great.
Now, open for inspection times, buyer sheets and buyer responses. I think Ellie has now sent you the next 2 weeks of open for inspections.
Yep, I'm all good with that.
Good. And then in the third week, we haven't set the third Saturday yet, but that will be set next week, and we'll advise you of what that open for inspection time is.
Great.
Okay. After each open for inspection, we'll leave you with a carbon copy of the buyer sheets. So basically, everyone who comes through your property, we'll ask them to provide their name and phone number. Okay, just because of security reasons, that out of respect for it being your home. So we'll get names, phone numbers, as much feedback as we possibly can about that buyer, about that potential buyer. Reasons for moving, where they're currently living, what's their motivation, what's their history in the marketplace, have they bid on anything before, and what do they think of the home. Okay, so as much information as we can gauge in the conversation that we have with them. So that looks like this is one of our buyer sheets, so the blue buyer sheet, and we'll leave that at the property for you after the open for inspection. So when you get home, you'll probably be pretty keen to have a look and see how many people have we had through. Some of them will be neighbours. That's okay, that's normal. Neighbours are really good for campaigns because they speak very highly of the area, or they might refer a buyer. And read the notes. We'll provide you with honest feedback about what the market is saying about your home. So is that okay if we?
Yes.
You wouldn't prefer me to sugarcoat the feedback?
No. I think I want to really hear what the market's
exactly.
saying.
Yeah, and some of the feedback, will be concerns, Michael, but there's some things that we can't change about the property. Okay, if there's anything that comes up as a concern that can be changed, we'll address it with you, and we'll make a suggestion around changing anything that's potentially limiting the engagement in the marketplace. But some things can't be changed. Doesn't matter what the value of the property is, whether it's $1 million or $5 million, the buyers are going to have a concern about certain things. Okay, so just be comfortable with that. Most of the feedback will be positive because you've got a beautiful home and a great renovation and it's beautifully presented. So we'll provide you with any of that feedback that we feel that you need to know.
Great.
Buying signals is a really important one. So it's unlikely that a buyer will come through your home on the first open for inspection, not return our phone calls, and then bob up on auction day and buy. Okay, so that's probably unlikely. What we like to see is a number of things to demonstrate and prove to us that a buyer is actually a genuine buyer. One of the things is a repeat inspection. So with a home of your calibre and of your size, it would justify a buyer coming through 2 or 3 times, just to have another look at the property, look at it through different eyes, bringing friends and family members through. They might bring their parents through, or they might bring a buyer's advocate through, or an advisor. So repeat inspections is a key buying signal. Asking about settlement terms is a key buying signal. Asking about specific deposit terms is a buying signal. So don't be surprised if a buyer asks us whether you would accept less than 10% deposit.
Okay.
So I had a situation recently where I asked that of a vendor, and he said, why can't they pay 10%? Can't they afford the property? It's not that they can't afford the property, it's just that they don't have 10% sitting in an account.
Just working on in that particular process.
So it is quite common for us to be asked 5%. So requests for different deposit terms, just be open-minded around that, but you don't need to worry about that now. We'll discuss it with you as the campaign unfolds. Okay.
Great.
So they're the key buying signals. Maybe even a building inspection. Even though it's a fully renovated home, it may not happen, but with some homes, a buyer will invest $700 to $1,000 on getting a building inspection done. That's actually a really positive sign. You're not going to invest that money if you're not a genuine buyer. Okay, so they're really the 5 key buying signals that we look for. All right.
Great.
And obviously, as the campaign unfolds, you'll see those progressing. They're what we call our KPIs for the campaign, and we need to sort of be achieving those KPIs after every open for inspection, Michael. Okay?
So you monitor those?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well and truly.
Yeah, and there'll be things that you and I discuss when I call you after each open for inspection. The Smiths were back through for a repeat inspection. The Joneses brought their parents through. The Browns brought a buyer's advocate through. All that type of that type of feedback is what we're looking for in terms of activity. So setting up for each open for inspection, you mentioned that you'll be not far away before each open. Are you okay just to have the house basically ready for us to arrive? It's great for us just to be able to open the doors and let the people in. So if you could just have, for example, lights on, music on if you'd like to have some music on, blinds open, natural light in, door stops on doors, that sort of thing. Are you okay to have the house basically ready so we can get rolling as soon as we arrive? Okay, fantastic. Obviously, if there's
would you like the bifolds at the back open up?
Yeah, provided it's not a really windy day.
Understand.
And if there's candles that you want me to light when I get here or blow out when we leave, then happy to do that as well. All right, if you just have it ready, that would be much appreciated. In terms of heating or cooling, obviously subject to the day. If it's a cold day, you never know, this time of year in Melbourne we could still have some heating on, or if it's going to be a warm day, we'll crank the heating nice and early in the morning.
The air conditioning.
The air conditioning, that's right, refrigerative. In terms of the marketing showcase that we have on display at your property, are you okay if we leave everything on the dining room table after each open?
Yeah,
so if you need to just move it and put it in a little pile on the bookshelf, that's fine, and then perhaps just have it sort of displayed out for us again for the following Thursday. Is that okay?
Yeah, happy to.
As things run out, we'll obviously bring top-ups as well. So if we're running low on brochures, don't worry, we'll be bringing top-ups to the next open for inspection. So we'll just keep that all nice and neat. Door stops, if any of the doors sort of swing in the breeze, if you could just have a little door stop there so that they don't bang during the open for inspections. Any valuables, I know we talked about this a couple of weeks ago in terms of jewellery, aftershave, perfumes, anything like that that's on display is possibly tempting to it could even be a child. In my 15 years, I've never had anything stolen at an open for inspection, but I'd obviously hate it to happen to you. So money, credit cards, anything valuable, just put out of sight. Okay?
Okay.
Clean oven, I'm sure. Yeah, because people do check the oven, and toilet seats down. Okay? And if there's anything that I notice as well during the open for inspections that I think we need to attend to, I'll certainly let you know. Private appointments with buyers and building inspections and things like that, we try to funnel all of our buyers and inquiries through the open for inspections. Reason being is that we'd like more people at our open for inspections to provide social proof. Now, if there's somebody who calls and basically says, Madeline, we're bidding on an auction this weekend, we haven't had a chance to get through Hope Street yet, is there any chance of seeing through it tomorrow? I'll qualify them on price and obviously motivation. If I ask you for a private inspection, you can be assured that they're not a tyre kicker. Are you open to private inspections during the week as required?
Yeah,
yep,
absolutely.
Great. Sometimes it's good for us to sort of isolate the buyer and be able to have a better quality inspection with them by doing a private inspection for certain people, but I'll guarantee you they won't be a time waster if we're doing a private. Also, building inspections, which could happen during the campaign, tend to happen in the last week. So when buyers have made a decision, yes, we're bidding on Hope Street this weekend, perhaps we should get a building inspection, then it'll often happen in that last week of the campaign. If it suits you, if it's convenient around your work hours and we do get a request for one, would you be okay to let the building inspector in? Is that all right?
Yeah, happy to.
Because you don't need to have any discussions with them around anything, but sometimes they're here for sort of an hour and a half. I'd rather be back at the office on the phone making follow-up calls than standing here at the home with a building inspection, if that's okay with you. Yep, great. We'll let you know as that happens. Buyers advocates are a really good thing. If we get buyers advocates engaging in the property, that makes us happy. Buyers advocate will be engaged by a buyer and will be paid a fee by a buyer. Separate obviously to our fee, so they will be financially motivated to try and help the buyer buy your home. All of the advocates have been advised and told and sent out a brochure in relation to Hope Street, so they're all onto it, and I've already had some good conversations with Chris Corrin and Mel James and a couple of the guys around your home. Communication during the campaign, so there'll be lots of it. I'll be in touch almost every day. Unless you say to me, Madeline, stop ringing me, I will ring you nearly every day, okay? We'll leave you alone on a Sunday unless an aspect of the sale is progressing. So if we've got an offer to talk to you about, or there's an inspection at the property or something like that, then we'll communicate. But Sunday is the day that we'll give you as a day of rest.
Day of rest,
yep.
Good.
Often on a Friday we don't have a whole lot to communicate with you about, so but every other day I'll be ringing you after we've done all of our follow-up calls, okay, to let you know how the calls are going, who's engaged, how we're progressing, any changes that we've made during the week and things like that.
Great.
Okay, and obviously we've got our weekly meetings that have been set up by Ellie as well, so thank you, in the office. And the feedback that I provide with you during that communication, as well as we've already touched on, will be completely unsugar-coated feedback, letting you know about how we feel the campaign's unfolding.
Great.
If I've got concerns, I'll let you know. If we feel that we need to change something, I'll let you know, okay? So it's not set and forget. We're sort of always evolving the campaign as we go along. In terms of expectations, we have what we call KPIs for each aspect of the campaign. So, for example, this weekend is our kick-off open for inspection, our first open after the property's gone live on the internet. So it's probably going to be the busiest weekend of the campaign because you're the new home on the market. I would be very surprised, given the calibre of your home and the buyers that I've met out in the marketplace that would suit your type of home, if we didn't get sort of 25 to 30 groups through, okay? So if we had 25 to 30 groups through, we'd be wrapped. We'd feel like, yep, tick that box, we're off and running. In addition to the 25 to 30 groups, however, we'd also feel that we need to get engagement from 4 or 5 people. So you can imagine, out of the 25 to 30, there'll be some people in that group of potential buyers who are not ready yet. So they've just started looking, they're researching, they're checking out your presentation for their own ideas, they're sussing out your renovation because they're thinking of doing one themselves. So there'll be a certain number of buyers that aren't actual buyers, but there will be a chunk of those buyers who are in the marketplace to buy in the next 1 to 2 months.
Great.
Okay. We would like to see engagement from, say, 5 of the 25 to 30. Okay, so people asking to be kept informed, people asking me queries about the home, settlement terms and things like that. If there's generally 3 outcomes for any open for inspection. The first outcome is the one that we want, which is good numbers and good engagement. The second outcome is good numbers and low engagement, which we don't want, which often means that the buyer has come expecting something else and the home didn't meet their needs. Mm-hmm. So, for example, we talked it up too much in the copy, which hasn't happened in your instance, or the photos don't replicate what the actual property is like. Okay, so I don't believe that that's the case. I think we've got the copy right and the photos are a true reflection of the home. The third scenario is low numbers and low engagement. If we get either of those second 2, we'll have to have a discussion around why and what we can do to change it. So the goal is for option 1 for Saturday, so good numbers, 25 to 30 groups, and engagement from probably about 4 interested parties. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. Mm-hmm. Offers prior to auction. Michael, are you open to selling before auction for the right reason?
For the right reason and the right price? Yeah.
Yep. Okay, that's fine. And the only reason I ask is that buyers will ask that of us. Some vendors are adamant no, they can't. It might be a deceased estate and they're not in a position to sell beforehand. Other vendors would really like to sell beforehand. So it's always good to know your expectations. So we have a process at Marshall White that we follow around any property that gets sold before auction. So if a buyer makes an offer, we have a process that we then follow. I won't run through that with you now, obviously. If and when it happens, you will be fully informed as to how we're progressing that process, okay, and how we go.
I'm assuming that process is designed to make sure that we've got the best dollars we can.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to basically be at a price that you're happy to sell for. Okay, so we'll talk about that if and when it happens, and then we have a process where we basically make sure no stone is left unturned. Anyone who's been through the home that potentially flagged interest will absolutely get contacted. So the property will never be sold at Marshall White without all interested parties being communicated with. Okay,
great.
So variations to terms. I know initially you were hoping to get it sort of around a 60-day settlement. Do you have some flexibility on that? I think you said you would have a little think about it.
Yeah, I think
that's ideal.
I think it would be a little bit price dependent too.
Yep.
So if we can get this price, then we'd have more flexibility on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is keep an open mind around settlement. For example, if we, at this time of year, often we'll get people who want to buy your home, but they feel, I guess, a little bit pressured for the fact that they won't be able to sell their own home until February. So they're basically going to lose about 6 weeks in the marketplace of not being able to auction their own home. So often this time of year, we do get requests for longer settlement terms. So possibly 120. I had a situation on Saturday where we sold a home on 150 days. So I know it's not ideal, and I know it's it's a function of price as well. But if you just keep an open mind around that, it may come up in conversations with buyers. Okay. We've talked about variations to deposits, so just keep an open mind in relation to people requesting different deposit terms. The contract of sale hasn't arrived at the office yet. We did put in a phone call on Monday just to follow up with the solicitor. If we don't receive it perhaps by next week, I might just get you to put in a call if you don't mind, just to follow that up with the solicitor.
Absolutely.
Because it's important if an offer does come in that we obviously have a contract of sale. Same with the Section 27, which is that early release of deposit that we discussed, which is important as well. But I'll keep you in the loop in relation to that. Reserve price. Michael, you don't need to make any decisions around your reserve price yet. We'll have discussions with you during the campaign around price and how we feel we're tracking, where the buyer engagement and interest is coming in at, and we'll give you recommendations around what we think the reserve price should be, but you certainly don't need to make any decisions literally until auction day.
Okay.
Okay, no worries. Disclosing the sale price is just a post-sale function that we like to discuss with you now. Are you okay to disclose that sale price after the auction? The reason that we ask you that now is that with the new statement of information, a lot of vendors in the past and buyers have asked for their sale result to be undisclosed, which then limits any resource that we have as agents to provide the statement of information document to future sellers. So you don't need to make a decision on it now, but would be a great idea if we disclose your price. Okay, fantastic, thank you. We've done all of our SMSing and emailing alerts within the office, so any other campaigns that were similar to yours in this general location with a similar specification, those campaigns have all been emailed and texted to support our advertising.
Good.
Okay, and obviously the underbidders and different people have been phoned. Once we go live on the internet tomorrow, you're a Facebook user, I think, aren't you? Yeah, I thought you might have been. Yeah. Would you like to? Are you okay to share and get it out there, obviously, and ask your friends to share it? The multiplying effect of social media.
The video, is that?
The video will definitely be attached to your property as well. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So Madeline, within that, typically at the end of that process, you'll have a lot of confidence with the client knows that you're doing a lot of things behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've taken those invisibles and made them even more visible, and I totally get that you're working in my best interests throughout the entire process.
Yeah, and just diffusing any potential things that might happen in the next 3 weeks that, we've covered off on them. So you know why things happen when they happen. Yeah. Good.
Well done. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.